Round 25 was a return to normal for NRL fantasy, and I got to say, I'm pretty relieved. I'm looking at that top 10 list. They're all guys we paid up big for. They're all guys we have in our teams. So finally, we're back to normal. There's no crazy top scorer this week. It is all guys that we expect. Now, we're going to go around the grounds here. We're going to talk about the players who popped off, the ones we should be buying, the ones we should be selling. And really, all this is a bit academic if you have no trades left. But hey, it's still fun. 2 weeks left. Might as well enjoy it. Now, first up, Tigers beat the Seagulls. Absolutely crazy game. I'm going to talk about Tommy Turbo here first. So 3 tries, 3 line breaks, had a try saver, 12 tackle busts, and 244 run meters. Now, absolutely insane game from him. He is the top scorer in NRL fantasy this year with 90 points. Rolling down the list here, Samuel Afinu came in clutch for us here. So 72 points for us. Had the try, had 5 tackle busts, had just an all-round solid stat line outside of that. Look, for him, it was a really quiet game last week for fantasy, so it's really good to see him return to form and good to see the faith repaid for those of us who did start in this week. Now, Seyfarth popped up as well. Some of you were looking at him, 59 points. Coruscant bounced back to form, just like Finu. Quiet last week, big game this week. Galvin, 46 is solid enough there without too many attacking stats. Then Atoka Manu, back to some decent PPM there. Rolling down the list here, Ola Kawatu, 41 points. Again, you expect a bit better, but you throw in that sin bin. That was the big differentiator. Otherwise, he probably ends up 50 plus. And going down the list, we've got Papali with a 38. I know some of you are looking at him. Fair Tape has been a solid cash out, another 35 points here. Garrick, 33, really quiet from him. Just the ball didn't go his way in this one. DCE, 27 points. And we can talk about this here because I just want to show those numbers. So 46 run meters, 268 kick meters. This is what I was sort of talking about with DCE last week in that he's a fantastic football player. It was a matchup that had plenty of attack in it, but his base stats been quite quiet the last 3 weeks, and Brooks has been taking over a lot of that. So the run meters are normally closer to 100, 120 meters a game, and the kick meters are normally closer to 400. But I don't know if he's taking the foot off the pedal to let Brooks sort of take more of a leadership there, or if there's an injury he's carrying, or if it's just different play style for Manly. There's something going on with DCE, and it means that base is quite a bit lower right now. And then down the bottom here, is there anyone else we want to talk about? Probably not. We can slide through to the next game. All right, so rolling through to Friday's games, got the Warriors and the Dogs, and there was plenty of controversy in this one, but the Dogs got it done in the end. And unfortunately, Shaun Johnson at least, he couldn't have that beautiful send-off in this one. So fantasy scores, Fanua Blake, 75 points, played 70 minutes. Look, when he plays 70-odd minutes, he's going to score big. Now, the impressive thing about this is 75 points without any attacking stats. So you've got the 49 tackles, a couple of tackle busts, a few offloads, and then you got 124 run meters. Now, this was an all-round base stat performance, and for Fanua Blake, absolutely dominant game. I loved seeing it in my middle forward spot. Matty Burton, we talked about him quite a bit too. And again, look, really solid scoreline here. So 66 points, had the 2 try assists, had the goals as well, and then a solid line with very little negative stats there too. Now, the base stats weren't as strong as I was hoping for there. So you can see 61 meters run and 275 kick meters, quite a bit lower than you expect from him. And if we go down the list, I'm not sure if someone else has sort of taken the stats here. Like, where have they gone? Sexton only had 120 as well. So it's not necessarily the split to be concerned about, but just a lower kick game. I guess a lot of tries scored in this one, a lot of sets incomplete as well, a lot of penalties. So not those big kick meters. Rolling through, Egan, really solid 50 points. And then we get into the below 50 scores. So Karaz, you can live with that. Shaun Johnson, 45. He's been pretty solid without being, crazy good this last 2 weeks as well. Reid Marnie, back to a bit of form, 40 points. The 6 missed tackles are a bit concerning, but hey, we'll take 40 points from Reid at this stage. And then going down the list here, Barnett, 33 points in 80 minutes. Really quiet game from him. Just tackles, meters, and then a few negatives there. So not a great score. And then down the bottom here, have we got anyone we want to look at down the bottom? Probably not so much. Yeah, no one really. I mean, RTS, he copped an injury, went off early. So if you do have RTS, it's just a bit of bad luck for you there. Rolling through to the other Friday game, so Broncos and Parramatta, and the Eels surged out to a big lead in this one, and the Broncos came back, and Reynolds was a big part of that. He was a top 5 scorer for the week. Now, try assists, line break assists. You had the tackles there, no missed tackles. 709 kick meters. The big thing I'm going to draw to, though, when we talk about those kick meter base stats, this is 23 points in kick meters, right? Whereas if you go on 200 kick meters, you're looking at a smaller number, like 5 points, for example. So for Reynolds, this is a really solid base there. And when he's playing next to Rogers, it seems that he's dominating a lot of that. So for him, great numbers. Offengawi's been a bit of a blessing as well at this late stage. 72 points, had the try, really strong base. Offengawi was actually a monster at the Tigers when he got these sorts of minutes playing lock as well. So if you're in a draft league and no one's picked him up yet, I actually don't mind him as a pickup for next week. And if you need a player at that price point, again, I don't actually hate him at that price point as well. So him and Reynolds are the two guys under 500K who are actually kind of interesting. Now, Paddy Carrigan popped off, 80 minutes for him. They're still fighting for that final spot. So you can live with, 53 tackles, 215 run meters. That's a 75-point base. That is absolutely fine. And then Jensen with 64, really solid from him as well. Tristan Saylor popped off. I wouldn't read into it. His fantasy score's been pretty quiet, but this was a game where he really showed out. Rolling down the list here, have we got anyone that's super relevant? I mean, Kelma Tuolangi's pretty cheap, played 80 minutes, scored 45, a very solid 45 points. Down the list here, anyone else? I mean, Xavier Willison, kind of average with 38. Dylan Brown, he's sort of started to fade here, 34 points. And then, yeah, Pierre Kerr, if you still have him, another 34 points. Down the list, anyone else we're looking at? Not really. I mean, I'm sure there aren't too many Elastic owners out there, so we'll just keep on rolling through. All right, Raiders upset the Panthers, and what a game this was. What a game this was. I'll tell you what, it's actually good news for us fantasy coaches when you look at the Panthers team. So they've slid down to 4th place now. They're equal second. So there's 3 teams sitting on that equal points there. And it means that I think it means anyway, that the Panthers are less likely to rest some of their players on the run home. So I'm looking at that and thinking, you know what, as an Isaiah Yeo owner, as a Dylan Edwards owner, I'm more confident they won't get a rest on this run home now. So for me, it's good news. For the Panthers, look, they're a team that could easily get back to 2nd place anyway. And for the Storm, it basically means they're locked in for that minor premiership as well. So let's roll through this game because Isaiah Yeo popped off, 85 points for him. He had the try assist there, but the main thing was the base stats. So you got 40 tackles, you got 4 tackle breaks, you have 3 offloads, and 166 run meters. Just an all-around really solid forward space there. Joey Tarpanay, 58 minutes. And we talk about Tarpanay all the time. If he gets the minutes, he gets the points. Now, 58 is on the higher end of what he's been getting. 67 is absolutely fantastic, boosted by that try assist, but still really strong base stat game from Tarpanay as well. Hudson Young, he's been the pot of all pods on this run home, actually, because, 60 points here. He had 70 last week, and then about a month before that, he had a couple of 70-plus point games in a row as well. So if you got on Huddy Young, congratulations to you. You've absolutely killed it here. Now, Fisher Harris grabbed a try. Savage grabbed a couple. Some good scores from them. Fogarty back to normal here. And again, we talk about the kick meters, right? Fogarty, 719 kick meters. It is no coincidence he's back in the 50-point range. Rolling down the list, Dane Laurie has been absolutely unstoppable when he started for this team. Liam Martin, good score from him too. He could be available in some waiver wires on draft leagues. Isaac Tungo, 42 points, pretty solid from him. Ko Weeks scored that try, that saved his score. Not a lot of kick meters from him. I thought he might steal a few more from Fogarty, but still a decent score from him with 41. And then down the list here, is there anyone else we want to talk about? I mean, Starling came off the bench in this game, Starling. So, 48 minutes, 33 points. It's fine in terms of PPM. It's absolutely fine. But if you're going to come off the bench, you sort of need a few more of those attacking plays. And unfortunately, we didn't get much of that at all from Starling. Horsburgh was back. Edwards, really quiet from him. Just didn't have the tackle busts and attacking plays, so only got 31 points. Toe was exactly the same. Luai, there's a bit of talk about him, 27 points, really quiet. And down the bottom here, Gaia, back to that bench roll, 21 points. And yeah, no one else really. I mean, I'll mention Casey McLean, who came off in this one, only 8 points. So if you started him, it's a rough one because I understand your logic. Like you were looking at it and sort of thinking, you know what, the Raiders copped an absolute beating from the Cowboys the week before, but tell you what, the Raiders just came back and they performed at home. So it's hard to pick this year. There's a lot of teams around that fringe 8 area that can turn up on their day and just upset anyone. Going down the list here, we got the Storm and the Dolphins. And yes, Storm, no upsets in this game. The Storm put on a show. They're establishing themselves as pretty solid premiership favorites there. So locked in for that minor premiership, 6 points clear. They are flying. Now, Jerome Hughes, 87 points here. Had the try, had a couple of try assists, 189 run meters. That's always a good sign as well, with 7 tackle busts. So we talk about these halves, and if they're going to give themselves this level of opportunity with the ball in hand, 189 run meters, then they're going to find these other stats. So a guy like Hughes, that 7 tackle bust is pretty regular for him if he's running like that. And then all these attacking plays just come off that running game where he's making line breaks and setting up other players. Harry Grant was absolutely dynamic in this one as well. So there's a bit of talk a little while back about Grant sort of taking a more defensive role, but In this game, he absolutely didn't do that. So 94 run meters, had the 8 tackle busts, had a bunch of attacking plays here. 76 points in only 65 minutes. Could have been a 90-plus score if he played all 80 minutes, but that was a bit of a rest for him. Hopefully for Grant owners, it means that he doesn't get a rest next week or the week after, but I think the Storm might rest a player here and there. Eli Katoa popped off, grabbed the try here. 214 run meters, absolutely dynamic, and he was so dangerous in this game. Then we got Loiero, King, Pappenhausen, all solid scores here. Howarth turned up, put on a bit of a show in this one. Herbie Farmworth and the losing team was very, very solid. Tons of offloads here. So 4 offloads, 16 points. You love that. And then 6 tackle busts as well. So he was creating a bunch on the ground, but fortunately the Dolphins couldn't get the result here. Max Plath, 50, very solid. And then down the list here, who is fantasy relevant? Cam Munster, 35, a bit quieter. Sean Bloor, 34. We just haven't had that pop game from Bloor, and this one had 45 run meters, so really quiet for Bloor. Unfortunately, just ball didn't go his way, I guess. And then Hamaso, 20 points, again shut down in this one. He requires those big attacking stats to be fantasy relevant. And Felice Kafusi, he was on form for a while there, but 18 points in this one is a bit of a disappointment if you started him this week. All right, we'll roll through Rabbitohs and the Knights. Now, again, this game, I sort of felt like it was going to be a bit closer at the start, and then the Knights really just ran away with it. But Gagai was a big performer. Gagai was the number 2 scorer for this week. Now, 89 points is nothing to be balked at. He was one shy of Turbo at 90 points. So for Gagai, you got 2 tries there. You got 8 tackle busts, 180 run meters. Again, we talk about Gagai a bunch. The reason he's the best center in fantasy is because that base is so strong. So he's basically never scoring below 35 odd points. And when you add attacking players like this and Newcastle are playing well, he can rack up massive, massive scores without them being huge tries. So these tries weren't, massive long-range tries. They were pre-regulation tries for him. He still racked up this huge score. Now, Kalen Ponga, 74 points. He was really quiet in the first half and absolutely went supernova in the second half. So we'll take 74 points 100%. This is without tries as well. So for Ponga, hey, I'm feeling confident coming into the end of the season. Now, Cam Murray is another one we talked about buying a bunch this week too, and he was one of my favorite buys of the round. 71 points is huge, 53 tackles. You can't beat that, right? And then 178 run meters. So again, we're looking at that, and just the tackles and the run meters is 70 points. You're fine with that, right? Cam Murray, he doesn't drop the ball much, doesn't miss many tackles, doesn't give away too many penalties. Did cop a sin bin in this game, though. So I guess that goes against what I'm saying. But still, even with the sin bin, 71 points, 71 minutes, 70 minutes, I guess would have been just absolutely unstoppable. Cogger coming down the list, had a couple of tries, scored well. Dylan Lucas, center eligible, popped off in this game too. And then down the list, who else is fantasy relevant? Damien Cook, a bit quieter here, 66 minutes. We talked about him losing minutes, and I've been going on about it for a while. It finally happened. Look, Mama Zealous is going to steal more and more of that on the run home, I reckon. And then let's see, Tallis Duncan, good player in real life. Not the biggest fantasy score considering a try, but you can live with that. Fletcher Sharp popped off again. He keeps on producing good scores, which it sort of surprised me. Like, I loved him against the Tigers. I wasn't sure how he'd go in these tougher matchups, but he's finding a bunch of attack to do. Greg Marzu, solid here too. Jack Whiten, I saw the try and the try assist, and I thought, oh, Jack Whiten's going to go off big here, but 8 missed tackles, 2 errors, 2 penalties, minus 24 points across those. So if you add those on, you're looking at 61 points, but unfortunately those negatives knocked him down to a 37. Kalon Matangi, 36. He's pretty much fallen off for fantasy, but still playing good footy in real life, just not doing it for fantasy. Jai Gray was really hot to start this game and then sort of cooled off. 32 points, or 33. And then down the bottom of the list here, have we got anyone else here? So Kai Pierce-Paul, I will mention, picked up an injury in this one. Frizzell as well. So unfortunately, I think Pierce-Paul won't be back this year. That's my guess. It was a gash on the leg, which apparently was pretty bad. My guess is they'll stitch it up, and he probably won't be back for the regular season, unless they've got some sort of technology to really fuse it. But that's my guess anyway. I think he might be back for the finals if they do make it, but yeah, no go for the regular season. Now, Sunday games here, Titans and the Roosters. So this was one that people were thinking the Roosters would come in and absolutely dominate, and they did, but not in all the ways you'd expect for NRL fantasy. So we'll go through that now. Gus Crichton's the first one here. We talked about Gus a bunch. Now, 77 points is huge, but you throw in 3 tries on that. It wasn't the biggest day. So watching him play live, I would have thought a bigger score was coming through. And 77 points is still solid. Oops, when you get a hat trick out of your back rower. So I'm fumbling there. When you get a hat trick out of your back rower, though, you sort of expect a higher score out of him. So that's what I'm looking at there with Gus Crichton. Still 77, you can absolutely live with that. Cam Pereira, another 77 points. Now he's a winger, so this is more expected for him, but he put on a bit of a show in this game. And yeah, I've got to say, if the sprint was tomorrow, if the race was tomorrow, I'd probably be picking Cam Pereira based on that performance. Absolutely cooked Dom Young on one of those sprints, and hey, he's looking awesome right now. Tupanua, unexpected superstar, 71 points. If you have him, bravo to you. 3 tries. This is absolutely crazy. And then we got Tupou popping off with a double there. Tedesco, 59 points. Can absolutely live with that in that game. Just an all-round performance from him as well. Butcher, Firma, Keeney, all sold around that 50 mark. Sam Walker, he started super hot and then cooled off, 46 points. Jaden Campbell, again, in a game where you didn't have those big attacking plays, you can take 45 points and be happy with that. And down the list here, Dave Fafita got hooked in this one, came back, looked like it was the heat and fitness that was the reason for the hooking. Well, not hooking, subbing, I guess, right? But 38 points in 59 minutes. The PPM is okay. Unfortunately, as a Fafita owner, we just haven't seen those big scores recently. So I don't know how to feel about it. You know, he's normally hitting around 50 to 60, but this one was a bit of a disappointing one for, you know, the particular week it is with the finals on as well. And then rolling down the list here, Chris Randall, 33 points, quieter from him. Joey Manu, a pod that didn't take off here with 32. And then down the bottom, is there anyone else we want to talk about here? Probably not. I mean, I'll mention Jojo Fafita as well. He was the top scorer of the week a few weeks back, or I think it was second place. Unfortunately, he's back to a lower score there. Now, Dragons and the Sharks are the last one. The Sharks, I'll tell you what, they're cementing their claims of being a genuine top 4 side with games like this. So they potentially get Nico Hines back next week. But the big thing here is they've absolutely pumped Dragons in this one. Now, for the Sharks, Nakora, again, just keeps popping off, keeps scoring these tries. If he can keep scoring tries, he's a top edge back rower in the game. It's just a question of, you know, can he keep scoring these tries? Now, I thought he might struggle a bit more with the makeshift half pairings they've been putting out. You know, they obviously haven't had Hines for this period. They missed Trindle for a while as well, but it seems Nakora is halfback proof. So he's coming out. He's putting up big scores. I'll eat humble pie on that one. I didn't think he'd keep it going. He absolutely has. Kale Iro, absolute beast. I'm loving him as a starter. 67 points, had the try assist. But the big thing here is 165 run meters, 9 tackle busts. He gets that done in base stats, and you add the attacking stats for bonus. Jesse Ramian with 55 here, grabbed the try as well. Teague Wilton, back to some form here, 51 points. And then down the list here, a few of us talked about Little a bit during the week. He was on fire early, but sort of cooled off, 49 points there. Zach Lomax, 46. Almost had a try in this one, but it was taken back, so that would have helped his score quite a bit. Then Stone Street grabbed 2 tries. We talked about him a bunch before. He's a try-scoring machine on a great edge for Cronulla. Luciano came off the bench with 44. And then down the list here is anyone else we want to talk about? Jack DeBellin, 39 in 45 minutes, just not getting the minutes. Jaden Sewer, 38 points. Needs those attacking stats to pop off is the issue and didn't get those. And down the bottom here, Cam McInnes, 56 minutes, 33 points. We talked about this. He often gets those lower minutes, and they really hurt his fantasy output. Then down the bottom, who else have we got here? No one we really want to talk about too much. I will just mention Jack Williams. So I know if you guys were asking about him. He's great when he starts at lock and gets that big minute roll or starts on the edge, but he's coming off the bench now. So you get 20 points in 40 minutes. It's a fine-ish PPM, but the issue is the minutes aren't there. Anyway, guys, hopefully it went well this week. Hopefully it was a good week for your league. Hopefully you're in the grand final, ideally. But if not, we've got 2 more weeks. We're competing for those best possible overall ranks. I'll be here next week. My team is probably going to be struggling a little bit with, I'm going to say injuries. You know, there's quite a few injuries and some restings as well. So I may even struggle to get 17 on the field next week. But this week was a good one. Hit about 995 points pre-updates. So let's see if I can get past 1,000. Hopefully it went well too. I'll see you guys on the next video.